The notification came through just as I was finishing plans for a long weekend abroad. Hi, sweetheart. Your dad and I are keeping Thanksgiving quiet this year, just us, Lily, and her boys. You understand, right? I stared at the screen, lips curving into a tired, unsurprised smile. I'm Danielle Morgan, 37, and well acquainted with being a footnote in my own family. My sister Lily, the golden child with the picture-perfect, Pinterest-worthy life, has always been the one they spotlight. Even when I launched a thriving consulting firm in Toronto last year, all my mother could gush about at dinner was Lily's latest kitchen renovation. Sure, Mom, enjoy the peace and quiet. I typed back, my fingers steady though a familiar ache burned in my chest. But their dismissal no longer stung. It only reinforced a decision I had already made. 2 months earlier, I'd purchased a secluded lodge tucked deep in the mountains of British Columbia, 12 suites. A glass-walled dining hall and the kind of silence only nature can offer. A personal gift, a sanctuary after years of being the forgotten daughter. But I had no intention of spending Thanksgiving alone, because while my immediate family had sidelined me, my extended family never had. Aunt Rosa came to every science fair my parents skipped. Uncle Victor drove me to college when Dad was too busy. Cousins remembered my promotions, sent birthday messages, and cheered me on with real pride. So when I invited them to the lodge for Thanksgiving, their excitement was instant. Aunt Rosa booked flights immediately. Mark and I are counting down the days. Uncle Victor responded after seeing the floor plan. This place looks unreal. Cousin Tara sent. The sleigh ride sounds magical, I'm already crying. Cousin Nate added, I'm bringing my camera. This'll be one for the books. 21 confirmed. In all, every suite filled. Not a single space reserved for Mom, Dad, or Lily. I planned it all. Gourmet meals with a local chef, snowshoeing, wine tastings by the fire, and a Thanksgiving dinner that would celebrate love that stays, not love. That's conditional. They wanted distance? Fine, they'd have it while the rest of us carved turkey under a sky spilling with stars. A week before the holiday, Mom called. Danielle, sweetheart, I hope you're not too upset about Thanksgiving. Lily's boys have been a handful and you know how your father gets when things feel chaotic. I stepped onto the balcony, gazing over frosted trees. Don't worry about me, Mom. I won't be alone. Oh, with coworkers? Her surprise almost made me laugh. As though it was unthinkable I had a life outside their plans. Something like that, I replied vaguely. Actually, I've got arrangements to finish. Goodbye, Mom. Give my best to Lily and the boys. Moments later, Aunt Rose's SUV pulled up the drive. She and Uncle Victor had arrived early to help set up. Danielle, this place is stunning, Aunt Rosa said, hugging me tightly. Then she whispered, your parents have no idea what they're missing. I smiled. They're about to. The next few days were a joyful blur, cousins unpacking, children tumbling into the snow, aunts and uncles laughing as they settled into their rooms. The air carried warmth that had nothing to do with fireplaces. Evenings glowed with laughter and glasses raised. On Thanksgiving Eve, under golden string lights on the terrace, I lifted my glass. To family, I said, looking at those who had chosen me. Not out of obligation, but out of love. 21 glasses clinked together, and I knew tomorrow would be unforgettable. Thanksgiving morning was everything I had dreamed. The scent of cinnamon rolls mingled with turkey and herbs from the open kitchen, where our private chef blended Canadian flavors with holiday tradition maple glazed carrots, cranberry stuffed squash, truffle mushrooms. Laughter echoed as cousins chased each other around the fireplace. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Happy Thanksgiving. Mom asked me to check if you're okay. We could FaceTime if you're lonely. I looked around at the lodge, Aunt Rosa and Tara arranging flowers on the table. Uncle Victor outside showing kids how to build forts, others sipping mulled wine by the fire. Lonely? I hadn't felt this surrounded in years. Thanks, but I'm quite busy, I replied, slipping my phone away just as the photographer arrived to capture every smile, every spark of joy. This looks like it belongs in a magazine, he said. By noon, Mom called again. Danielle, sweetheart, Lily's making her pumpkin pie. Are you sure you don't want to come over for dessert? I stepped outside into the crisp pine-scented air, watching Uncle Victor guide my cousin down a snowy slope. Actually, Mom, I'm hosting lunch. Hosting? She repeated, startled. Then she must have heard the laughter behind me. Where? Where are you? In BC? I answered. I bought a lodge a few months ago. Silence. You bought a lodge? Why didn't you tell us? Why would I? You've made it clear my life isn't your priority. Besides, I didn't want to. Interrupt your quiet plans. Her voice sharpened. Who are you hosting? Who are you hosting? Oh, just family, I said lightly. Aunt Rosa, Uncle Victor, Uncle Leo and his crew, all the cousins and their kids. Everyone except you, Dad, and Lily. They've been here all week. I could hear her breath catch. All week? Yep, we've had wine tastings, cooking classes, sleigh rides, even shopping trips in the village. It's been incredible. Static filled the silence before she spoke again. But they always come to our house. Things change, Mom, I said gently. Sometimes people go where they're truly wanted. She began. That's not fair, Danielle. We just wanted... I need to go. I cut in. The photographer's waiting for a group shot. Lunch is about to be served. And I hung up. Aunt Rosa appeared in the doorway, amusement dancing in her eyes. Let me guess. Catherine finally realized what she's missing? She did. Good, she said firmly, pulling me into a hug. Maybe next time they'll think twice before shutting you out. The rest of the day was nothing short of magical 5 courses of mountain-inspired cuisine. Wine pairings from the Okanogan Valley, candlelit tables beneath a blazing sunset sky. Laughter rolled through the room. Effortless in UNFORCED. My phone buzzed again, texts from Lily, missed calls from Mom, even one from Dad. I ignored them all, because for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about who didn't show up. I was celebrating the ones who did. Instead, I stayed present listening to Uncle Leo tell a dramatic story from his band days, watching little Grace sneak a 3rd piece of pumpkin tart, laughing as cousin Nadia tried to toast without knocking over her glass. The photographer moved quietly through it all, capturing everything, not just the smiles, but the belonging. Because this wasn't just Thanksgiving. It was ours. Later that evening, after the dishes were cleared and the stars came out, I checked my phone. Among the messages, one notification stood out. Lily had just added me to her Instagram close friends list, something she had never done before. I smiled, knowing what was coming. Tomorrow, when the photographer's pictures began making their way across social media, when cousins posted stories and snapshots of our unforgettable Thanksgiving, my parents would finally realize what their pursuit of peace and quiet had cost them. But that was tomorrow's reckoning. Tonight, I had something far more important. A family who chose me, who chose to be here, who chose connection over obligation. That was what I was truly thankful for. The morning after Thanksgiving, I awoke to the smell of fresh maple scones and the sound of laughter drifting through the fir trees. Through the glass balcony doors, I spotted cousins already gathering on the deck for breakfast, while the younger kids threw snowballs and made snow. Angels in the frosted meadow. My phone buzzed endlessly. The photographer had delivered the first batch of photos overnight, and just as planned, the posts had begun. They were breathtaking. The sunset dinner glowing under lantern light. Children bundled in scarves playing in the snow, the panoramic mountain views behind our candlelit table, and dozens of candids filled with unfiltered joy. Aunt Rosa posted a full album titled A Thanksgiving to Thanksgiving to remember, with a caption that read, "When one door closes, another opens, sometimes in the Rockies." Thank you, Danielle, for reminding us what family can look like. The comments rolled in from my parents' neighbors, their church friends, their country club acquaintances, all gushing over the photos and asking why Catherine and Robert weren't there. Curious, confused, Lily called first. Why didn't you tell me? She snapped, half indignant, half shaken. I'll lodge and be with everyone there. Mom is freaking out, tell you? I said calmly, watching the frost sparkle on pine branches outside. Like you told me about your 4th of July picnic or the twins' birthday party. That's different. Those were small. No, Lily, it's not different. You 3 built your own little bubble, that's fine. But I built something better. One of the twins started crying in the background. Lily's voice dropped. Mom's devastated. Her friends keep asking questions. The Kowalskis even canceled Christmas dinner with us to accept your invite to New Year's. I hadn't even announced a New Year's gathering. Apparently, the family had done it for me. I guess Mom got the quiet holiday she wanted. How was it? I asked simply. There was a pause. Boring, Lily admitted. Dad snored through football, the kids were restless, and Mom just kept checking her phone. It wasn't like Thanksgiving should be. No, I agreed. It wasn't. I slipped my phone into my sweater pocket and stepped out onto the deck, where real family was waiting with coffee, laughter, and warmth. Uncle Leo was organizing a snowmobile tour for the afternoon, while Aunt Rosa and Cousin Tara were mapping out a trip into town to visit the local markets. The kids were torn between building a snow fort or heading to the nearby hot springs. Someone suggested a picnic near the frozen lake. Then my father called. "Princess," he began, using that softened tone I remembered from childhood, the one he used when he wanted me to cancel my plans for Lily's sake. "Your mother and I have been talking, Dad. I'm actually about to head out for the snowmobile tour. With the family. Can this wait?" "That's what we want to talk about. Family unity." I stared out the frosted window where my real family was already bundling up and laughing, planning their day together. "Your mother is very upset about all this." He added, "I'm sure she is," I replied evenly. "But you know what, Dad? I've been upset for years. Every time you left me out, every time you dismissed my success, every time Lily's life took priority over mine. The difference is I turned that feeling into something better, but hosting. Thanksgiving without telling us, buying a lodge, planning holidays without inviting me?" I asked. "Doesn't feel good, does it?" There was a pause. "No," he finally said. "It DOESN single quotes T. Then enjoy your peaceful weekend, Dad. I need to go. Uncle Leo's waiting." The next few days passed in a joyful blur. We snowshoed through silent forests, tasted wines beside a roaring fire in a rustic mountainside vineyard, and took cooking lessons from a Calgary-based chef who taught us how to prepare elk tenderloin and maple creme brulee. The photographer kept snapping away sled rides. Game nights, group dinners. Photos filled everyone's feeds. My parents' phones lit up with messages from friends. "Where is this lodge? Why weren't you there?" Danielle planned all this? The daughter they underestimated was suddenly the headline in every conversation. Week later, as suitcases were being loaded and hugs exchanged, Aunt Rosa wrapped me in a tight embrace. "They'll try to get an invite to Christmas," she whispered. I nodded. "Christmas is already booked, oh?" she asked. "I'm taking everyone to my chalet in the Swiss Alps." She pulled back, blinking. "You have a chalet?" "Bought it last spring," I said with a grin. "New traditions, right?" After waving goodbye to the final guests, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Honey, about Christmas. Your father and I have been thinking." I left it on read. Let them wonder. Let them finally understand what exclusion feels like. Because sometimes the best response isn't anger, it's elevation. And as I stood on the snow-dusted deck of my lodge, already picturing the alpine slopes of Switzerland, I knew one thing for sure. I'd never spend another holiday feeling unwanted again. If you've ever been the one left out, the one underestimated, I hope my story speaks to you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what part hit home, what moment made you cheer, what you would have done in my shoes. I read every message, and your support reminds me that we're never truly alone when we choose ourselves. If you've ever been made to feel small, hear this. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to create joy where there was silence. Subscribe if you're ready to build your own version of belonging. Let's write new traditions.